Hello. I had something come up in the shower this morning. Just seemingly random. But, I don't really believe that things are random or that there is such a thing as coincidence anymore. So it was obviously brought up to me to examine and hopefully heal. But it has been particularly heavy for me to carry around for the last several hours. I haven't figured out exactly how to heal it, but it seemed like something that I should share with you. And then just a little while ago, I saw a box of Oracle cards sitting on my table, and I decided to pull a card for myself. Normally when I do that, I just say, Spirit, show me what I need to know right now. I don't have a specific issue that I'm pulling about. And today was no different. And yet, the card was surprisingly appropriate for what I have been trying to process today. I'm going to read that card to you in just a couple minutes, but first I just kind of wanted to lay out the background. An incident from when I was about 7 came up. That kind of brought me to asking, how could my mom have done the things she did to me? Now, this isn't new, this question, and I thought I had worked through it, but it turns out I hadn't. There had been a missing piece. It was like I just still can't fathom how mom can do those kinds of things to her daughter. And the input I got from my spiritual team was something maybe I should have known, since my mom was a narcissist. But I just never really had that light bulb go on. I'm sorry I'm struggling. I'm still feeling a little bit weighed down by this, and maybe this wasn't the time to film, but I tend to think it's better to be raw so that we don't tell ourselves that we have to look all pretty and tie things up with a nice bow and be presentable. I would just as soon keep going here, but you're going to have to forgive me if I stumble and bumble a bit. So to the question, how could my mom have done the things she did to me? The answer I got was that there was nothing in her mind except that I deserved it, had earned it, it had been my fault, it was because of something wrong with me, or it was for my own good. That ever crossed her mind. In her mind, it never was that maybe she was doing something that she shouldn't. It was always on me. And that was the justification. Well, I have to tell you that obviously whatever she might have said at various points in time stuck with me quite well, because all my life, up until now still, if something goes wrong, I assume it's because I earned it. Even today, I was talking to my team or universe and saying, why is this happening? What did I do wrong? Why are you punishing me? knowing that the universe doesn't do things to punish us. There's always something to be gained for us, growth, a lesson, whatever. But sometimes, we just feel shit on. And I guess today was one of those days for me. Because even though intellectually I know that I'm not being punished, it still felt like it. Like, what do I have to do? What T's do I have to cross? What I's do I need to dot to make you quit testing me? How do I make this stop? What have I done wrong? When can I show you that I've passed enough tests that you're going to stop? So it was conveyed to me, and I don't know exactly how, that anything that was done to me was something that I had coming. Because of who I was, because of something wrong with me, just because I was me, just a walking blob of sin. And I think some of you probably have grown up with a narcissistic parent and come away with the same conclusion about yourselves. That it was always your fault. Something you did, something wrong with you. Something you deserved, something you'd earned. Never that there might have been something wrong with the person that was putting that on to you. So now I'm going to read you the card. It is called Gelato Goddess, and this is Love Your Inner Goddess by Lana Fairchild. The artist is Selena Finnett, and the publisher is Blue Angel Publishing, just for anyone that might really enjoy the card and want to check out the deck. Have you given another the power to influence your sense of self-worth or your direction in life? Choose with care whom you allow to get close to you and to guide you. It's obvious and yet easy to forget that if we accept guidance or influence from another, we want to make sure that they are living the kind of life and being the kind of person that we aspire to be. You can learn from and be inspired by others, but you must stay true to yourself. Do not allow anyone else's voice to become more important to you than the divine voice within your own heart. Your soul has 10,000 flavors. Some people may try to persuade you that one soul flavor is better than the others. Best to ignore those with such unadventurous palates. You are a divine gelateria. I'm not sure how to say that really. An array of sacred scrumptiousness. Sometimes you will be kind, other times you will be fierce. Sometimes you will be sweet, other times you will be strong and independent, stubborn and determined. Sometimes you will be all class. At other times, you'll wolf down your lunch like it's the last meal you'll ever eat. Those rare people who accept themselves unconditionally will be able to accept you, all parts of you, unconditionally too. Others who struggle to accept themselves may struggle to accept all of you. They may want you to behave in a certain way. They may feel embarrassed or afraid of what others may think, and so they try to censor you. Maybe they think they are helping you, but they are not. They aren't quite ready to be freely and truly themselves. Maybe one day they will be, but in the meantime, you won't help them or yourself by trying to change who you are. You are worth so much more, with so much more to offer to those who are ready to embrace all of you. Carefully choose with whom you share yourself. You deserve to be and to be loved for being all of you. And then there is a sacred ritual here. Say aloud with confidence, I trust, love, and respect all the different parts of me to work together as I live my most creative, honest, and beautiful life. I choose to share myself with those that love and respect all of me. Now, the card was talking about being selective about who you choose to allow influence from. But, of course, my thing today, I guess I could take these off, was about a parent. And children don't get to choose their parents. The narcissistic parent is never going to be held accountable. They will never own their actions because they don't ever see themselves as causing offense or harm. But as children, we don't know that. So if you are like me, you may have grown up just taking all the weight onto yourself when things went wrong, or figuring that any bad things that happened to you, you had deserved. And that's not because you just suddenly woke up one day and thought, oh yeah, I'm a fuck up and everything that happens from now on is because of that. I earn it. It's because the parent has put it on you. Because it's never going to be the parent's fault if they are a narcissist. I said we don't choose our parents. Of course, we do pre-life for certain lessons that we want to learn. But, as the child growing up, you're just in their house. You're part of the deal. They're part of the deal. It's not like you can say, oh, no, I think I'll have something else on the parent menu. And we just accept what comes our way. We become programmed, brainwashed, really, to think that everything is because we're awful. That's the kind of conclusion that a child will come up with. These things must be happening to me because I'm awful. Now, we're not children anymore. We may still have our parents on this earth and still love them, and there's nothing wrong with that. We may have come to the realization that our parent was a narcissist, and we can even see the manipulation, and yet we allow it and take all the responsibility on ourselves still, because that's just what is. I can tell you this, we will never change the behavior of a narcissist. It's just not something that happens. It doesn't matter if you're the greatest healer in the world. We can only help those heal who want to. And a narcissist sees nothing wrong with themselves or what they do. But to get back to the shower thing, I kept saying, I just don't understand. I don't get it. I just can't wrap my mind around it still. Our brains are never going to be able to grasp how their brains work. Therefore, we're never going to understand. We're not going to get the motivation. We're not going to get the reasoning that they can come up with to justify things. We will just never get it because our brains are different than theirs. So think about this. If you were walking downtown and there was someone coming toward you maybe disheveled, crazy look in their eyes, and they were spouting gibberish, but suddenly they looked at you directly in the eyes and said, go jump off that bridge that's a block away. Would you? Let's just forget the part that this is a stranger. You wouldn't. You would say, oh gosh, that person is mentally ill. And you might have compassion for them. And let's say they have a cup of 2-day-old coffee in their hand and they throw it at you and a little bit splashes on you. You might forgive them because they're mentally ill. But would you just stand there and let them continue to tell you ways that you should harm yourself? Or continue to throw things at you and stain your clothes? Hell no. You would be moving to the other side of the street. You might have some kind of understanding that you shouldn't judge them too harshly, but it's because they're mentally ill. Now, this is the crazy person coming toward you on the sidewalk downtown that we're talking about. But the narcissistic parent is also mentally ill. So you have to kind of put aside the fact that this is a parent or a partner or someone that you love and still decide that you don't have to take to heart what they say because they are mentally ill. They are mentally ill. The crazy person that threw the coffee at you probably isn't going to say they're sorry. And the parent probably has never sincerely said they were sorry to you. And they're never going to explain why they chose to do this or that. Because they don't take responsibility. You could drive yourself crazy. You're never going to understand. So what can you do? You start saying, wait a minute. My narcissistic parent put things on me from the standpoint of being mentally ill. If I wouldn't believe the crazy person on the sidewalk, I also can choose not to believe the mentally ill narcissistic parent. And I'm no longer going to tell myself that everything that goes wrong is my fault or because there's something wrong with me or that I deserved it or earned it because it came from the mouth of someone that I should no longer be believing and perhaps or trusting. You can still love them, you can forgive them, but you don't continue to believe the things that they made you believe. They've done a lot of damage to us over the years. And the primary damage is they have made us feel like there's something wrong with us. So here's where we just start to get rid of that bad habit of seeing ourselves that way. If something comes up, something goes wrong, and you immediately say, what did I do? How did I cause this? Do I deserve this? Catch yourself. Start catching yourself and telling yourself, not everything has to do with a defect in you. Don't just jump to that conclusion that it must be because of you, because that is not a conclusion you would have come to unless you were worked on hard. Remind yourself, that's old programming and you're writing the new program. Take responsibility for what you know you might have done, but don't take responsibility for everything. That might have been how you grew up. That might have been how it was with a certain narcissistic partner, but it doesn't have to be how it is now. You don't want to be living a story written by somebody else. You want to live your story. So rewrite it. Get rid of the shit that was piled on you. You don't need it anymore. It wasn't the truth. What can I say? I think you get my point, even though I have presented it poorly. And at least the card was awesome, wasn't it? You can choose who you want to allow to influence you. But as the card says, make sure it's someone that is acting in ways you admire, that's living a life you could see yourself living. Or maybe just don't worry about letting others influence you. Trust yourself.